Hi guys, Aaron here with Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns, and today we're here to talk about must-stop and power. Today we're going to talk about the Rock Island Armory Officers Model 1911 and 45 ACP. By the way, if you've ever played The Last of Us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'm pretty sure this gun's in that game. So, this is a fairly standard affair. I have no relationship with Rock Island Armory, of course, full disclosure, as you guys know. This is my brother's gun. He bought this from Bullseye Shooting Supplies right here in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and I believe the price on it was $450 at the time, taxes included. And it came in a cardboard box. No, it came in a plastic case, one owner's manual, one spent shell casing, for whatever reason. I think it has to do with the ATF. I don't know. Thanks. And one magazine. Now, these aren't Mechgar magazines. These are actually Act Mags, but they are made in Italy and they are very high quality. But that's what it came with. So let's get into the gun, and I think we're going to talk about a few different issues as we go. They're going to surprise some of you if you're not super familiar with the 1911 platform. So we're going to go through this the way we always do, top to bottom, front to back. Now, we'll start with these sights. These sights are shitty, okay? Outright, this is a GI spec gun, or a GI spec gun, since the Officers model didn't come out until like the 1970s, 1980s, I want to say. So they are really teeny tiny, as you can see. That being said, they're not super hard to find, and while we're on it, there is no serration of any kind on the top of the slide. It's just completely round. It's a standard Parkerized finish, by the way. Now, the barrel is like a bull barrel. It's a heavier profile barrel. As you can see, it's got that kind of hump to the front of it. And this gun does come with a full-length guide rod. And we're going to get into that in a little while, too. Once we get to reliability, we're going to talk about that. Slide serrations on this guy. Slide serrations are standard vertical 1911 style slide serrations. Nothing impressive there. Smooth dust cover here in the frame, no accessory rail. Slide lock, slide stop, slide release, whatever you want to call it on a 1911 is checkered. It does come out just a touch, and it is quite nice, but again, while reloading, like I always recommend with a 1911, insert your magazine, roll your thumb up, and chamber the round. If you're going to do that, a lot of people recommend with 1911s that you shouldn't even use that. You should simply insert your magazine and slingshot it like so. I haven't had any issues with this gun, and neither has my brother as far as actually using that, like a slide release, as long as you're using ball ammunition. Like 1911s, in general, you got to remember there's certain caveats to them. Ball ammunition is one of them. A standard GI 1911, if you're not using ball, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to have a good time with hollow points, okay? So use ball. Now, we're not going to really get into disassembly. We might. I haven't decided quite yet. I'm going to make my mind up as we go in this video. Now, this is a single action gun only, which means that that hammer has to be cocked in order for this gun to fire, like so. We'll just see that oil. So you have to have that hammer cocked in order for this to fire. That being said, it does have this frame safety. Now, this frame safety is pretty standard on all 1911s. It's not as positive as it is on other 1911s. I have an ATI, and I can say that this slide release frame safety is a lot more positive. On this one, you can hear it's got a bit of a snick to it, but it is very easy to flip it on and off. With a lot of 1911s, they have stiffer safeties, and I do recommend a stiffer safety if you can get it. Not to say that this gun is unsafe, because also with a 1911, you have your grip safety. This has the extended beaver tail on it, and it does have a bump out, which is pretty standard on a lot of 1911s these days. So unless you're squeezing that, the gun's not going to go off. So if for whatever reason this safety comes off, as you can see, gun won't fire, but when I depress it, it will. So 1911s are still pretty safe guns. I know a lot of guys who refuse to carry them, and they say, well, they're not safe. These guys don't know what they're talking about. You can safely ignore them. As long as you're not gripping this gun, it's not going to go off. So I do like to have a more positive safety on these guys. That being said, it's still safe, and this one does work just fine. There's been no issues of accidentally flipping it off. It is accidentally flipping it off. It is something that some people worry about, but again, I don't really think you need to do so. Now the trigger guard is standard. It's smooth, it's rounded, it's not squared off, no serrations, nothing like that. The trigger is slightly serrated. Not sure if that's going to come through or not, but it is serrated. Grips are smooth Cocobolo grips. Very nice job, Rock Island, on those. Now, the fact that they're smooth, I thought would suck initially, but actually they feel really good in the hand, and you still get a really good grip on it for some reason. It's hard to explain. It's almost like if you put your hand on a sheet of glass, sometimes you can slide your hand right across it, and other times your hand kind of catches it. It's like that. Your hand just kind of catches it. And ergonomically, obviously, the 1911 is really good. So particularly this size is really comfortable in my hand, despite that it's a smaller version. It fits my hand really well. It fits my brother's hand really well. Basically, everybody I know who shot this gun has said, yeah, it feels really, really good to hand. And it comes up, no issues. The sight's a little hard to find sometimes, especially with that black on black and those little tiny guys, but that just aids in concealability because they're not going to snag on anything. And like I said, even with these smooth Cocobolo grips, you do get a really good grip on it. Front strap is completely smooth. That's pretty standard with most 1911s. And then moving on to the back, your mainspring housing on this one is flat and it is serrated. It's actually interesting to note that I shoot okay with this gun and it's flat mainspring housing when I actually preferred an arched mainspring housing on a full-size 1911 or even a Commander. That full-size grip, if I shoot it with a flat backstrap, I shoot low. So when I have an arched mainspring housing, I shoot right where I'm supposed to. On this gun, that wasn't a factor. Not really sure what's up with that, but I shot it straight even without the arched mainspring housing. So trigger, we'll talk about that now that we've hit there. The trigger is single action only, as I mentioned. There's just a tiny bit of take up there, 1, maybe 2 millimeters play right here, and then it's like a 4-pound trigger. It's pretty light, it's pretty crisp. No surprises there, it's a 1911. I forgot to mention the hammer. The hammer is a Commander style of hammer, if that makes sense. Basically, if you've seen anything from Wilson Combat or Kimber or anything like that, it's a skeletonized hammer. And it is serrated slightly. So you can cock it or decock it if you need to. I don't know why you would, but you can do that. And what's good about the beaver tail and this hammer is the way they interact is you can decock this hammer manually because it pushes down the beaver tail, which in turn engages that grip safety. So you can cock it or decock it single-handed if you need to. Magazines. These are standard 7-round mags. However, standard 8-round magazines like this Wilson Combat also fit, although they protrude slightly. And of course, you can always go with those 10 or 15-round Stendo mags, and they'll fit no problem. Most magazines do drop free. There's only been 1 or 2 that didn't. I believe they were Colt magazines. And here you go. Here's a Smith & Wesson mag. Very high-quality magazine. My favorite 1911 mag. There you go. Okay, so drops free, no problem. How about reliability on this gun? And here's where we're going to get into some of those issues that I was talking about. I have had 3 or 4 failures with this gun, some of them with my brother, a couple of them with Nora. We had, at least during the break-in period, the first 500 rounds, we had 2 failures to feed. Me and my brother did while we were shooting the gun. Me and Nora, we had 2 failures for the slide to lock back, and 1 time, this failure to chamber actually, it didn't pick up a round for whatever reason at all. Not to say like it jammed on the feed ramp, it straight up didn't pick up a round out of the magazine. I think it was magazine related because those were a little old. But that being said, there it is. So as long as you go with a high quality magazine, you should be okay. As long as you go with ball ammunition, you should be okay. But what happens with these 1911s is as you start to shrink them down, you hit reliability issues. Full-size GI 5-inch models are the most reliable. Commanders are a little less reliable, and then these Officers models are the least reliable, unfortunately. That being said, this gun has thousands of rounds through it, and there's only been, if I discount the failure to lock back and only include failure to chamber a round, only 3 in about 4,000 rounds. So that's pretty damn reliable, especially considering that the U.S. military standards, or at least the U.S. Army standard, is means between rounds failure count is 495 rounds. So basically out of 5,000 rounds, every 495 rounds, if you have a failure, it's still acceptable, and this exceeds that. So this would pass any kind of US military reliability test, no problem. But it is, as far as automatics go, I think I've had more failures with this than any other gun that I own. So be aware, you need to use high quality ammunition with these guns. You need to use high quality magazines with these guns. But if you do, you're going to get a really reliable package. So you get that shorter grip, you get that shorter barrel. That's why these actually came with that full length guide rod that you can see right there. It's just to increase the reliability of the gun. And I'm not going to get into disassembly. I've decided, I think if you want to, I'm just going to save you some time. If you are interested in this gun and you want to find disassembly, you're on YouTube already, so go ahead, type disassembly of the Rock Island Armory Officers model in, and I'm sure a video will come right up. And I do believe these guns come with a lifetime warranty. So, how does it shoot? Well, I have a Glock 21 in 45 ACP. I have a American Tactical Imports 1911 Commander in 45, and then I've shot this. And I have to say that, believe it or not, this gun recoils more than both of those guns do. Even the Glock, which I thought it wouldn't because it's much heavier than a Glock. But for whatever reason, I think it's the short barrel. The gun snaps a lot. You know you're shooting a 45, no problem. Not that I think 45s have a ton of recoil, but you're very much aware of the fact that you're shooting a 45 when you're shooting this gun. So that's about all I noticed shooting it. Mostly reliable. Nora noticed the same thing, was like, this gun kicks kind of a lot, but when you look at the size of it compared to a 5-inch full-size 1911 with all that extra weight and extra barrel on it, yeah, it's going to kick more. But nice and thin 45, so if you're into your stopping power and winning 2 world wars, okay, you can carry this gun, no problem, concealed. Now let's talk about the accuracy of this gun. So, fortunately there's not a lot of ammo out on the shelves these days, so I just kind of went with what I had. This is me, 7-yard standing, bullseye hand loads, 230 grain full metal jacket. This is when it failed to lock back twice. But as you can see from that first group right here, pretty good accuracy out of that guy. There's 2 rounds here, and then there's one right off the paper right here. Not sure what the hell happened here. It looks like a round keyhole. Again, that's 2 rounds, and then the third one, no clue. This one was me. There's a flyer there, and there's a good group there. So you're looking at about a 2-inch group out of this gun. And again, it takes a little bit of mastery, and you have to get used to shooting kind of a big bore concealed carry gun to get really good with it. But it is a capable gun. Don't think that it's not. What do we have here? Nora, 7 yards, Winchester, 230 grain full metal jacket. She had a fail to lock twice and a failure to feed. Yeah, so this thing doesn't like to lock back sometimes. And that was the one failure to feed, and like I said, it straight up just didn't strip around out of the magazine for whatever reason. So she had a little stringing with it, but it is also her first time shooting this particular gun and a gun of this caliber and size. But that being said, that's her best group right there, I think, right here and right here, some pretty good groups. So yeah, you're going to get like a 2-inch group out of this gun, no problem. It is mostly reliable. You just got to go with high quality ammunition and high quality magazines. So these are affordable, compact, fairly lightweight 1911s. And of course you got that big fat 45 ACP round if you're into that kind of thing. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the gun despite a couple of basic failures. Again, training goes around that, and when you shrink these things down, you do get those issues. So be aware of that going into it, and you're going to be pretty happy with this gun. This has been Aaron with Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to support me, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really helps me out with those algorithms on YouTube. And if you're interested in supporting me a little more than that, you can sign up for my Patreon. I'll put a link in the description. It's $1 a month. It goes directly to me. It helps me with ammo, targets, any accessories. It helps me get firearms and stuff like that that you guys might want to see reviewed. And I'm always open to suggestions, so go ahead and drop a suggestion in the comments if you want for what gun I should do next, or better yet, do it on my Patreon page after you sign up. And in exchange for that, you get exclusive content. Typically, it's a Q&A session. I try to come out with those every 2 or 3 months. Ask me any questions you want, and I will do my best to give you a very well thought out, thorough answer. This has been Aaron with Ghost Raptor Gaming Guns. Thank you again. You guys have a good day. Bye.